Ben Bradley was the deputy managing editor of the Boston Globe. He had written or edited many stories on a priest, an abusive priest, Father Porter. I had read the story, and I was really familiar. Boston's my hometown. My uncle worked for the Red Sox for my whole childhood, so shooting in Fenway Park was great. I'd never done that before, but familiarizing myself with the details of the story and the weight of the story and the way the story was uncovered was the research part. The Boston part of it felt very at home. I was comfortable with that right away. Working with Josh and Tom is it's a very symbiotic relationship they have, but it's very collaborative. There's a ton of information that they've mined to come up with and distill down to this story. They've made it really cinematic, which is not necessarily that easy to do with a journalistic story. In preparing for this role, I immediately took the train to Boston and sat down with Ben Bradley. And we introduced ourselves, we had lunch, we talked about the actual writing of the history of the writing of the story, his impression of the other players in the story, Mike Resendiz and Robbie Robinson and and Sasha and Matt, what it was like at the Globe, what it was like when Marty Baron came on as editor. He just sort of brought me up to speed on some of the sort of background details. What I learned of that I didn't know of journalists, of long-term investigative journalists, is the patience that you have to have, the doggedness to sense a detail of a story or sense a critical piece of a story and have the patience to figure out how to get it, to get it, to get a source confirmed, to get corroboration of that source, proof. You want to tell the story, but you have to prove the story. One thing that will be illustrated by this is that how sad it is that newspapers are kind of going the way they're going. I mean, at this point, the Boston Globe is half the size it was at the time, probably smaller at the time of the telling of this story in 2001. Long-term investigative journalism isn't what it used to be. People go online and they use, Google News as a headline digest. There had been some headway made on whether or not cardinal law knew about the abuse of these children by this, but among others, one priest, Father Gagan. The church fought back very hard, covered up documents, and covered up exchanges and settlements, private settlements with victims and their families. But it's hard to overemphasize the importance of, or the prominence of, the Catholic Church in Boston at this time. It's the biggest archdiocese in the country, or at least it was at the time.